Hey guys, how are you all? Welcome back to my channel. If you enjoy then please like, share and do comments. I rolled over on my back and was faced with his fist coming flying down towards me and rapidly moved out of the way. The fist hit the ground only centimeters from where my head had been, sending up a cloud of dust into the air. Quit moving, he snorted and straightened up again. And get a fist full on the face? Yeah right. I replied and launched forward to deliver a punch against the other boy, which, he blocked perfectly, of course. Come on Naruto, you can do better than that, he said. I've been giving you way too much credit. He grabbed my wrist and flipped me over so I landed with a thud on my back. I rolled out of the way of another fist. I was on my feet in a second. I'm not done yet Gaara, I said. Gaara and I had been friends since I moved to Konoha. No one wanted to play with me because I was the new kid and hardly said a word, except Gaara. He was always a loner, like me. We weren't really fighting, it was just a game we played in which whoever lost had to do a dare that the whole group decided on. Usually Gaara wasn't this rough and we're usually laughing through the whole thing, but no one wanted to do this dare. I looked up and saw him standing there calmly, smirking at me, and as always that mocking sneer made me grit my teeth in frustration. God, that face pisses me off. I dashed forward again, but this time I didn't even have time to make a proper aim before his arms suddenly flashed out and grabbed mine, spinning me around, pinning my arms behind my back. Then I felt a leg push in between mine. I gasped in shock as my feet got swept of the ground when he tripped me. He kept hold of my arms behind my back, put a foot on my upper back, and started to pull them forcefully. You give? I didn't have to look at him to know that smug look was on his face. I groaned in frustration. I did not want to do this dare. I'd rather go without ramen for a year. And that's saying something. He pulled at my arms again and I gasped in pain. Fine, I give, I said, defeated. He let go of my arms and helped me to my feet. Of course, the smug look never left his face. Looks like you're staying a full night in the old Uchiha house, he smirked. I just glared at him. The old Uchiha house was an abandoned mansion just outside our town. It looked like something you'd see in a horror movie. Big black gates with spikes, long narrow path with leaves nearly covering every inch of it, huge gray mansion with long church-like windows, a long slanted roof, 2 stone lions at the side of the steps and 2 huge double doors about 3 times the size of mine. Everyone said it was haunted. Apparently anyone that went in never came out. Unfortunately, the story was mentioned in passing and everyone thought it would be fun to test the theory out. Since I lost to Gaara, I had to spend a whole night in there, alone. Great. Gaara slapped me on the back. Don't worry, if you don't come back I'll take good care of your Xbox, he teased. I want it buried with me, I complained. If we can find your body afterwards, he chuckled and started walking back to the wall of our town. We always fought in the woods. Even if it's just a fake fight, the police would have been on us quicker than ninjas. Well, they are ninjas but still. Faster than normal ninjas. There'd been a lot more stationed around the streets since those disappearances. There was a wall near our school covered in pictures of missing people. People always went missing, about 1 or 2 a year, but recently a lot more had gone and we were never allowed to mention it. I tried once but I got a smack on the ear and couldn't leave my room for a full day. I started walking a bit behind Gaara. I wasn't huffing about losing. I usually did lose to the red-haired raccoon, but today I didn't get a single hit on him. If anyone had seen that, my pride would have been shattered. Especially if Sakura, my best friend, saw. She'd never let me forget it. As we got closer to town, Gaara slowed his pace till we were walking side by side. Good thing no one didn't see the way I kicked your ass back there, He laughed and nudged me. He said this every time he beat me, just to piss me off even more. I let you win, I replied, as usual, not looking at him. I just knew that smug look is there. Oh come on Naruto, you know you didn't. You should probably get a trainer like Kakashi, he might help. That last part was new. He was leaning forward a bit to try and catch my eye or read my expression, but I refused to look at him. I don't need him, I replied bluntly. Right, sure you don't, he said deadpanned. If not Kakashi, why don't you ask Jiraiya? There's no way I'm asking that perverted old man. I yelled. Well, if you won't ask him I'll do it for you, he said. I glared at him. Oh no you won't. It's none of your business, stay out of it. I picked up my pace and walked a bit further on than him. He jogged to catch up. Hey. Okay. I won't say anything shesh, don't have to take a huff, he said. I just rolled my eyes and stayed silent. Gaara was one of my best friends, but most of the time he just pissed me off. He made me feel so, I dunno, weak. Him with his awesome ninja skills, he's been a great fighter since the day we met. And he has a tattoo. The kanji symbol of love was on his forehead. All the girls liked him, even the guys liked him. And me? I was nothing compared to him. I was strong and not bad looking, and sure I had muscles and tan skin, but compared to Gaara I was second rate. People still made fun of me and some even avoided me. Don't ask me why, I have no idea. We reached home and as usual there was our group of friends sitting on the wall that surrounded the whole town. I didn't know why they put it there. My mother said it was to keep things out, but I thought it was to keep us all in. The only reason we could get to the other side of the wall was because strong vines had grown up the sides. I grabbed one of the vines and started climbing. So who's spending a night in Dracula's holiday home? My mate Kiba said as he grabbed hold of my arm and pulled me up the rest of the way. Kiba was the oldest out of all 6 of us. He always looked out for me. He was like the brother I never had. He always took his dog, Akamaru, with him anywhere he went. Who do you think? Gaara said close to me, making me jump. How'd he get up so fast? Naruto can never beat me. Again with a smug look. God, I'd love to scratch that off his face. I jumped down the other side of the wall, landing with a thud on my feet. Humph, was all I said as I walked over to Sakura and Lee. They never climbed the wall cause they were both scared of heights. They both stopped talking and smiled as they saw me walking to the bench they were sitting on. I flopped myself beside Lee and let my head hang back and rest against the top of the bench. So, Naruto, did you win, huh? Lee asked. I just looked at him. He could tell by my face I'd lost. Did he even have to ask after all the other times I got beat? He was about to say something when we heard a loud gasp. We both looked at Sakura, who had her hand over her heart. Naruto, you have to spend a whole night in that hell house? You'll never survive that. You can't go in there. One of the others should go in. There's no way you can. Yeah, I know it's rude, but I blocked her out by this point. I heard it all before. Every time I did something risky she made the same dramatic scene. Geez, does she really think I'm that weak? Are you even listening to me? I looked over at her. She was pouting with her arms crossed tightly over her chest. I smiled. Of course, I said. Don't worry about me, Sakura, I can handle anything. I'm not scared. That has to be the biggest lie I've ever told. Truth is I was terrified. A whole night on my own in a place like that. Outside the village walls. It was crazy. But there's no way in hell I'm going to tell anyone that. I reached under my shirt and brought out my chain. I rubbed my fingers over the green stone dangling on it. My grandmother gave it to me. She handed it to me in her deathbed and kept repeating, I will always love you. Which is weird because I never really saw her that much. I used to stay at hers for whole summers when I was about 7, but then the disappearances started getting bigger, so I only saw her after that when she was dying. I was about 10. Saying your last prayer, Naruto? My mate Neji called over from the wall. I called back, no need. Nothing's gonna happen anyways, it's just a house. Actually, praying sounds like a great idea right now. Dear God, 2 hours to go. Are you even listening to me? Asked Sakura, obviously irritated. What? I blinked at her. She gave a frustrated moan and walked a few paces in front of me. I speed walked to catch up. Hey, I'm sorry, my head's just somewhere else, I said. Your head's always somewhere else, was her reply. I just smiled at that. Hey, you want to go get some ramen and help me pack for tonight? I asked. She pretended to think about it. I knew she'd say yes, she always said yes. I guess, she said. Laughing, we headed to Ichiraku's. 1 hour to go. Sakura and I were in my room unpacking my school bag and filling it with things I may need. An extra blanket, a torch, snacks. I put a pen in the bag. Why are you bringing a pen? She asked. In case I'm about to die so I can write something creepy on the wall like, beware the beast. Or, I blame Gaara, I beamed. She slapped me lightly over the head. I chuckled. A knock came from the door. Come in, I said. Jiraiya poked his head in. Naruto, if you want to spend the night at Gaara's you better hurry. I don't want you outside after dark, he said. I sighed. I know, I'm leaving now, perverted old man. I pulled my bag over my shoulder. I looked at Sakura, indicating her to follow as I left. We headed downstairs. As I opened the door to leave I heard Jiraiya call, have fun. See ya, I said. With a nod to Sakura we both set off to the wall. Everyone was waiting for us. Hey, the man of the hour. I heard Neji call. Kiba came up beside me and wrapped an arm round my neck. "How you feeling?" he asked. I shrugged. He chuckled. "No worries mate, you'll be fine. No ghost or ghouls are gonna be brave enough to take you on," he said, ruffling my hair. "Peeved, I'm not scared," I grinned at him. Shit 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 shit. I walked to the wall and started climbing the vines. "Haha, if he goes," said Kiba triumphantly. I cursed as I climbed, almost slipping more than once. "Be careful Naruto," I heard Sakura calling when I reached the top. I looked over my town once more before climbing down the other side. I landed on my feet at first, then lost my balance and fell on my ass. I got up and dusted myself off, adjusting my bag higher up on my shoulder and started walking up the long, narrow path, which lead to the old Uchiha's house. I reached the tall black gates. There was a padlock with chains around the middle. Well, looks like I can't get in, darn. I smiled and turned to go back. I heard a rusty creaking noise from behind me. I turned to see the gates opening by themselves, the lock and chains nowhere to be seen. Creepy. Every sense in my body and soul told me to turn back and run. But my pride got the better of me. I was not going to lose this dare. With a gulp I entered through the gates and made my way to the front porch. Cobwebs were hanging all around the door. I reached out to grab the handle. Maybe this isn't such a great idea. Suddenly the door slid open slowly. Okay. Gates and doors opening themselves. No big deal, I'm not scared, they're probably automatic, yeah. Automatic doors in a house that's been abandoned for hundreds of years. I shook my head and entered the house. It wasn't at all how I'd imagined it. There was a huge staircase in the middle of the room with 2 rooms to either side of it. A huge living room was to my right. No door leading into it, just a big space. There were 2 love seats and a single sofa, a dark red color, in the living room. That was all. To my left there was the same space only with a dining room, a long mahogany table with 6 chairs on each side and 1 big chair at the end. Candles with cobwebs hanging from them were in the middle of the table. Nothing looked as if it were about to fall down, which is what it seemed like from the outside. It was in perfect condition, just really filthy. I wanted to explore more of the house but I got an eerie feeling about the place, so I went upstairs instead. I looked through all the doors. There were loads of rooms, 3 bathrooms and a few locked doors. I looked down one corridor. There were portraits hanging the whole way down it. I decided I'd take a look at them in the morning. A door creaked open down the hall from me. I turned. It was one of the doors that had been locked. I looked into the room and saw it was a double-bed bedroom. The bed was green and black, well I think the black's supposed to be there anyway. It had a big mahogany headboard. There was a mahogany desk and old fireplace in the room also. I shrugged to myself. Guess this will have to do. I closed the door and walked to the bed. I chucked my bag onto the bed and flopped down onto the mattress soon after. So far 3 creepy things have happened but I tried to ignore them. Just stay in this room until the sun rises. I looked to the ceiling and started thinking to myself. Getting bored of the ugly eggshell color I looked to the fireplace opposite the bed. Above the fireplace a portrait was hanging. It was of a boy my age. He had black hair that fell over his face delicately. He had beautiful obsidian eyes and porcelain skin. The boy had no emotion on his face but I could see in his eyes he was sad. It was a depressing picture. On the frame, below the picture, there was a golden plaque, which read, Sasuke Uchiha 1705. The date of his death was scored out. How weird is that? I looked at the picture of the boy again. I couldn't stop looking at his eyes, there was something strange about them. It sent a shiver down my spine. Suddenly the window flew open, the wind made terrible screeching cries, rain and wet leaves were flying into the room. The wind blew the portrait off the wall. I rushed to the window and, with some effort, managed to slam it shut. My heart was pumping fast. Stupid window. How dare it startle me like that? I looked at the portrait lying on the floor. There's no way I'm tall enough to put that back. My eyes wandered above the fireplace, where the portrait was supposed to hang. I froze. There was writing on the wall. Slowly I walked to the fireplace. The writing was so neat. It read, Hey stranger, what is your name? Was this some sort of joke? Did Gaara do this? That's unlikely. He was just as freaked out by this place as I was. And besides, how could he, or anyone else for that matter, know the portrait would fall? I shivered. This was just getting too weird. I laughed nervously. Don't freak out. Just go to bed, shut your eyes and don't open them until morning. I went to the bed, intending on just going to sleep when my eyes rested on my bag. I'd brought a pen with me, right? I looked from my bag to the wall. It couldn't hurt, could it? I opened my bag and felt around for my pen. I found it and went to write on the wall underneath the fancy message. My name is Naruto. What's yours? Peas. Are you a ghost? I didn't expect a reply. I looked out the window, sundown. I decided it was still light enough to take a look at those portraits I saw. Clicking my pen shut, I set it on the fireplace and headed out the door. After a lot of effort, I finally found what I was looking for. The place was huge. I got myself lost a couple of times. It was as if the walls kept moving or something. I repeat, creepy. As I walked down the corridor, I started to grow colder and colder until I could see my breath. What the hell? I looked up at the portraits. They were all similar to the one in the bedroom. Men and women showing no facial expression whatsoever. They all looked similar, pale with dark shades of eyes, all beautiful, all elegant, all with their death dates scored out. Wait, what? I checked again. Yep, every single portrait had the death date scored out. It looked like it was done by something sharp, razor sharp. Letting my eyes wander to the face of one of the women, I could have sworn she was looking straight at me. Calm down, Naruto. All pictures seem like they're looking at you. It's normal, it's normal. But I knew this was different. These eyes didn't look like they were watching me. They were watching me. How'd I know? Because those eyes just blinked. I stood with wide eyes for a few seconds. When the eyes blinked a second time, I ran. I didn't know where I was going. I just kept running, kept panting. I could still see my breath. The coldness didn't go away. I don't know how it happened, but somehow I ended up back in the bedroom. I slammed the door shut and leaned against it. It was darker, but I could still see without my torch. Suddenly I heard a rustling sound. My head whipped to where the sound was coming from. Something was under the bed. Something was moving. Something was coming out. I held my breath. I shut my eyes, not wanting to lay eyes on what was lurking in the shadows. Something rubbed against my leg. I jumped and let out a yelp. I looked at the beast, the monster. The devil, the cat? Meow, it looked up at me as if it were frowning. A black cat with blacker eyes. I let out a sigh and leaned down to scratch its ears. It seemed as if it was glaring at me as I reached for it. Where'd you come from, him? I soothed and managed to scratch it behind the ears. It closed its eyes and purred. I smiled at it. Then suddenly, as if realizing what it was doing, the cat's eyes shot open and it arched its back, hissing at me. I couldn't help but chuckle. The cat was actually embarrassed? Unbelievable. A cat with pride. It watched me cautiously as I walked to my bag and slung it over my shoulder. Don't worry, kitty, I'm leaving, I told it. There's no way I'm staying here any longer. I headed to the fireplace and grabbed my pen, glancing at the writing on the wall. I dropped the pen. Was that what I thought it was? No way, it couldn't be. There was a reply to what I had written before. My name is Sasuke, and you Naruto have angered some powerful people. You have outstayed your welcome, and now it is too late to leave. P.S. No Dobi. I am not a ghost. I stared at the message for longer than necessary. What the hell was going on? What did he mean it's too late to leave? What powerful people? And most importantly, wasn't Sasuke the name of the boy in the portrait? I turned slowly to the cat, which was staring at me in amusement. I don't suppose you wrote this? I asked dumbly. Its expression never changed. Well, I'm glad you're enjoying this, I said, voice dripping with sarcasm. I gripped my bag tighter and headed towards the door. I'm getting out of here. I grasped the handle and turned it. It wouldn't open. I pushed once, and then twice. It wouldn't budge. I started getting a cold sweat. The door wasn't opening. There was creepy writing on the wall. I was still freezing. I started gasping for breath. I never did well under pressure. I was starting to panic. Backing up, I grabbed for one of the mahogany bed poles, supporting most of my weight on it. Soon I couldn't even handle the little weight I had to support and slid to the floor. Clutching my hands on either side of my head, I closed my eyes and tried to take deep breaths. I had to calm down. I couldn't think. My phone. I grabbed my phone out of my pocket. Why hadn't I thought of it before? When I looked at it, I remembered, of course there would be no signal out here. I was completely alone. Well, not completely. The cat was still staring at me. I stared back at it. For some reason I found it calmed me down. Those eyes. There was something about those eyes. It broke eye contact first, looking to the corner of the room behind me. I followed its gaze and whatever calmness I had vanished. A shadow figure was standing in the corner of the room. I rushed to my feet and stared at it. It was like a shadow any human would make against a wall. Only this shadow had its own eyes, red eyes. I gasped and ran for the door, temporarily forgetting it wouldn't open. I thumped at it and lashed at it. It wasn't moving. I glanced behind me to see the shadow figure standing right before me. There was nowhere to go. I was trapped. I stared into the eyes of the shadow figure. It didn't move. It just stared back at me with blood-red eyes. Everything was silent. I heard whimpers. It took me a while to figure out they were coming from me. Finally, it moved. A dark hand came towards my face. I tried to back away but my back met with the door. Desperate to avoid contact, I threw myself to the floor and crawled away from the shadow. Only to have my leg grabbed. I let out a scream as it pulled me towards it. Frantically I hit every part of it I could. But my hands went right through it, even through the hand that was grabbing my leg. "Let me go," I screamed. Its grip only tightened more painfully. It continued to pull me closer. I looked to its face and saw a gap appearing where its mouth should be. In the gap I saw its teeth, and its overly sharp fangs. My eyes widened as I stared at the pearly daggers. The shadow must have noticed me staring because it smirked at me, giving me an even better view. It lifted its hand once again, only this time I saw razor-sharp claws. I screamed as it swung its claws at me. They were inches from my face before something unexpected happened. A black blur shot past, knocking the claws off track. I heard a hiss, from both the cat and the shadow figure. I looked to see an unusual picture. The cat was standing between the shadow and me, hissing. To my surprise, the shadow figure backed away from the cat. It tried to go around it to get to me, but the cat followed its steps and hissed once again. Sending glances between the cat and I, the shadow figure dissolved into the darkness. It took me longer than the cat to calm down. By the time I was able to breathe properly, it was sitting in front of me, glaring. I stared at it for a minute. That cat saved my life. The door creaked open. I was free to go. I looked for my bag, I don't remember when I dropped it, and picked it up. I looked from the cat to the door and got an idea. "Calm down," I said to my wriggling bag. "I couldn't just leave you there with that thing." I was back at the wall now. It was nearly morning. It took me a while to find my way out of the mansion again, give or take a few hours. So I'd completed my dare. I couldn't wait to rub it in Gara's face. I decided not to tell anyone about what happened in the mansion. I mean, what was I going to say? Oh my god guys, you won't believe what happened. A shadow attacked me, and just before it was about to devour me, a cat jumped in and saved my ass. Yeah, right, not only would I sound crazy but being saved by a cat? Seriously? How pathetic is that? My bag kept wriggling. Everything in it would probably be shredded by the time I got home. I started climbing up the wall. It was harder with the cat weighing my bag down, but I managed it. Once I got to the other side, I took a break. Sitting on the grass, I brought my phone out of my pocket, thanking God I had signal, and texted Sakura. I survived. An annoyed growl came from my bag. I sighed and started walking towards home. Jiraiya was at work. He owned a nightclub down the street, the most famous one in town. He normally went there late at night and didn't come home until lunch. Not that I cared. The longer I got to myself without the old man, the better. I nodded to myself. Once in my room, I opened my bag and was greeted with a nasty scratch from my new feline friend. Ow, I grumbled, someone's pissed off. The cat jumped out of my bag and hissed at me, obviously not happy with being stuck in a confined space that smelled like my gym socks. I held up my hands in defeat. Okay, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have kidnapped you from the mansion. For all I know, you could be that shadow guy's pet. I got a hiss for that, or not. I was only trying to help you, you helped me. It sat with its back facing me. Stubborn little bastard. I sighed and headed towards my drawer, pulling out my school uniform and setting it on my bed. I yawned. I shouldn't be going to school. I hadn't slept all night, but if I didn't go, everyone would get suspicious. Also, I didn't want to stay with the pissed feline. I glanced at my clock. It was now 7:30. I had an hour before I had to leave. I shrugged. Might as well get started. I stripped off only to hear a hiss from behind me. I turned and saw the cat glaring at me. "If you don't like it, turn around," I told it. It turned its back to me once again. Perverted cat watching me undress, I mumbled. It stiffened, and then turned to hiss at me again. I chuckled at that. Once dressed, I checked my top drawer and found a chocolate bar I'd been hiding there for a few days. I ripped the packet open and set the bar in front of the cat. It was a little melted but still good. "Here," I said. "It'll have to do for now. I'll get you some real food when I get home." It looked at the bar, then at me as if to say, "You're kidding, right?" I shrugged. "It's all I got. Take it or leave it, kitty," I said. It glared once I said, "Kitty." "What, don't like it? What should I call you then?" "I can't keep calling you, cat." I don't know why I talked to it like it could reply. It was a cat, for God's sake. "Well, first off, I need to know if you're a girl or a boy." I looked at it for a moment. "Girl?" It hissed, and I smiled. "Boy then." Sakura had a cat once. What did he call it? Fluffy? Again the death glare. "Yeah, I don't like it either. How about Tom?" "I used to love Tom and Jerry." Death glare. "Jinxie?" Death glare. I sighed. "How about Shadow? You're black and you did appear out of the dark, like that Shadow dude." Instead of a death glare, he just rolled his eyes as if to say, "It'll do." I smiled. "Shadow it is then." I said, "Hey Naruto. I'm back. How about breakfast?" I heard Jiraiya call up the stairs. "I'm coming." I called back. I turned to Shadow. "I have to go to school, just stay here, okay?" He glared at me as I left. Jiraiya had made us both toast. His cooking talents are endless. He'd set mine out on the table beside him. I knew he noticed I was in the room, but he didn't look up. He just ignored me, and I preferred it that way. Don't get me wrong, I do like Jiraiya. After all, he was the one that took me in after my parents died. He practically raised me, but he wasn't exactly the fatherly role model of the year. "How is Garz?" he asked, still not looking up at me. "It was good, until he started snoring and I had to come home early," I replied, taking my seat. I knew it would seem suspicious if I spent the night at Garz then suddenly appeared in the house in the morning. He snorted at that. "Doesn't seem like the type to snore." "Yeah, well, believe it, he's no sleeping beauty." I laughed a bit and started eating my breakfast. "So, who were you talking to up there?" he asked. I froze. He heard me? I was on the phone to Lee. "We're doing a science project on shadows." I mentally slapped myself. "Shadows? Smooth Naruto, real smooth." "Shadows?" He raised an eyebrow at me. "Well, that's certainly interesting." I said, hurrying through my breakfast. "Well, I better go." I stood and grabbed my school bag by the chair. "See ya." I was out the door too quick to hear his reply. "I told you I don't do well under pressure." I sighed and walked out the front gates. A shiver went down my spine. I had a feeling someone was watching me. I looked up to my bedroom window to see someone standing there. A person? I rubbed my eyes and looked again. This time I saw Shadow watching me from the windowsill. I shook my head. Last night must have really messed me up. Sakura's house wasn't far from mine. I walked there every day so we could go to school together. I was normally late and got a lecture for it, but today I was right on time. I did what I normally did every day. I picked up a few stones and aimed them at her window. Before I could throw, the door opened. "Oi, if you break that window you'll pay for it, and I don't mean with money." A fat man shouted, sweat patches under his arms. "Sorry, Mr. Haruno," I replied. Okay, I don't know what Sakura's dad looks like, so I'm just improvising. I swear I don't know how someone like Sakura, beautiful pink bubble with green eyes, could have a dad like that. Rough, fat ginger with a murderous look permanently printed on his features. "Daddy, leave him alone." I heard Sakura. She pushed past her dad and walked towards me. "I'll see you later," she called to him. With that we both ran as fast as we could down the street. Knowing fully well her dad would happily keep us behind just to give us a lecture on how I'm no good for his little princess. "I swear someday your dad's going to get a shotgun to me," I said, waving my arms in the air to emphasize my point. She just laughed. "No, he won't, he doesn't think you're worth killing." Sweat drop. "Gee, thanks. So how was the Uchiha mansion?" she asked when we finally slowed to walking pace. "What was it like?" "Pretty boring," I lied. "Just like any old house, really." "You're such a liar, Naruto." "So the haunted house was just a hoax?" "I knew it," she said. I just nodded. "Found a cat though," I said. "A cat?" she squealed in excitement. "You have a cat? Aw, how cute. Have you named it?" Sakura had an obsession with cats. I swear it's not healthy. Every cat she ever had ran away. I can only imagine why. "Shadow," I told her. "Shadow? That's a strange name for a cat," she pointed out. Well, he's black? I said. That was the best excuse I could give. I mean, come on. I'd never had a pet before, so I didn't really have much experience. Besides, names don't really matter, do they? Can I meet him? She asked, obviously still excited. Meet him? Jesus, what did she expect him to do? Formally introduce himself and shake her hand? He's a cat, for crying out loud. Sure, I said, I think he'll like you. If the bastard can actually like anything. Yes, she cheered. I smiled at her and we continued our conversation to school. Once at school I was bombarded with questions. How was it? Did anything scary happen? Did you see a ghost? Did you find a dead body? Did you die? I explained to everyone that it was no big deal, just a normal house filled with dust. Sakura told them about the cat, but they lost interest when I told them nothing cool happened. Gaara seemed the most disappointed. Aw man, so nothing happened at all? He asked. Nope, I lied again. He had a distasteful look on his face. As if I had let him down by not giving an exciting enough story. Kiba clapped a hand on my back. Well done, you survived the mansion. You're a legend, he reassured me. I smiled at him. He always knew what to say to make me feel better. Damn right, I said. And don't you forget it. The rest of the day was pretty boring. People gave me strange looks when I jumped at seeing their shadows, but that was it. Nothing strange, nah. Just the average teenage boy, scared of shadows. Pretty normal. That is, until last period. I sat near the window in maths class, waiting for the bell to ring so I could get home and make sure Shadow hadn't got bored and decided to rip up everything I owned. Algebra. Maths is hard enough with numbers, why add letters? Naruto, can you answer the question on the board? Asked Iruka-sensei, my maths teacher. I liked Iruka. He was probably the only teacher in the school that cut me some slack. I looked at the board. A plus B plus B plus A. ABBA? Wasn't that a band or something? There were other letters on the board. I was about to guess the question when I saw something strange. The letters on the board started moving. My brows furrowed as I read. Hinata Hyuga, Kiba Inuzuka, Sakura Haruno. I blinked a few times and the names disappeared. What the hell just happened? Naruto? Iruka-sensei pressed. I spared him a glance. I'm sorry, sir, I said. I don't know, I don't understand. I repeated the names in my head. They were all people in my class, and they were all my friends. What's going on? When I got home I ran straight for my room. Once inside I dropped my school bag and flopped onto my bed. What had those names meant? Why did I see them? Meow, I heard and looked to see Shadow looking up at me. Not now, I'm tired, I said and rolled away from him. I heard an annoyed meow. Shadow obviously didn't like being ignored, especially when hungry. I heard a ripping sound. As exhausted as I was, I had to turn around. I was met with Shadow scratching and biting at my English homework. Hey, that woke me up. What do you think you're doing? I walked over to him and pushed him away from the papers. I need this, it's due tomorrow. He just licked at his paw, indifferent to my aggravation. This time I glared at him. God, you're annoying, I mumbled. Not nearly as annoying as you, Dobie, I heard. I froze. Who said that? I looked around the room. No one else was there. Just me and Shadow? I stared at the cat. Take a picture, it'll last longer, he said. My mouth hung open. No way. It couldn't be. Why, you can talk. I yelled. Thank you, Captain Obvious, he said, rolling his eyes. But you're a cat. Again with the obvious? And you can talk. I think we've established I can talk, idiot. I couldn't believe it. True, after the weird things that had happened recently I shouldn't have been surprised, but, wow, a talking cat. Seriously? The world was completely screwing with me. I did the only thing anyone could have done in the situation. I poked him. He looked at me. I poked him again. He glared at me. I poked him again. Stop it, he said. Why didn't you tell me you could talk? I asked. You didn't ask, he replied. Well, duh. It's not exactly every day your cat decides to learn the English language. I said. Excuse me? Your cat? He questioned dangerously. Well, you know, any cat, I clarified. He sighed. I'm not a normal cat. Obviously. Cats don't speak. I said. What are you then? I'm. Yo Naruto, Jiraiya called. Sakura's here to see you. She said you promised to show her something. Damn, I said. I forgot about that. Naruto? I heard Sakura from outside my door. Just a minute, I said. I turned to Shadow. Okay, no speaking, just act normal, okay? Well, not normal for you but normal for other cats, you know? Okay? Okay. He didn't reply. "Come on in, Sakura," I said. She came in and closed the door behind her. Once she saw Shadow, she squealed and picked him up. He glared at her. "Aw, he's so adorable. Look at his little ears and his little paws and his little—" She went on naming every part of his body with the word little in front of it and squeezed him tightly. I could tell he couldn't breathe. The look on his face was priceless. I chuckled. "You walked on after school in a rush, but at least it gave me time to buy this for him," she said, bringing out, "Was that what I think it was?" "Oh, no way, a bow?" I asked, staring at the baby pink bow she had in her hand, 2 strings dangling down either side just waiting to be tied into something, preferably a girl, or a birthday present. "Yes, he'll look so cute. Please can we put it on?" she pleased. "You do realize he's a boy, right?" Catching the panic on Shadow's face, I stopped. "You know what," I said, picking up my shredded English papers, "go ahead." Sakura squealed and tied the bow around Shadow's neck, a little too tight for comfort. I looked at him when she was finished. Ice-cold cat Shadow, in a big baby pink bow. At that moment I did something I'd soon regret, something that could cost me my life for doing to these 2 people in particular. I laughed. I couldn't help myself. I couldn't stop no matter how hard I tried. Even when seeing the deathly glares they were both giving me, I kept on laughing. That is, until Sakura whacked me on the head with her fist. "Don't laugh at him," she scolded. "You'll make him feel stupid." "Well, he does look stupid," I commented, not daring to spare a glance in his direction. "He does not. He looks adorable. And he likes his bow," she stated. I looked at him then. He was so obviously not digging the bow. Who, in the male species, could actually enjoy wearing something like that? I looked at Sakura again. There were sparkles in her eyes as she admired her handiwork. "Now I know why all her cats ran away. Are you sure about that?" I asked. "Yes," she stated, "I can tell, I'm good with animals." I stifled a laugh. "Yeah," I said, looking to Shadow again. "You know I think you're right. I bet all the other cats will be so jealous." I flopped my hand about in a gay gesture. Shadow glared at me. "Are you making fun of me?" Sakura glared at me now. "No," I said, "I'm deadly serious." Though I couldn't stop smiling. Sakura's glare intensified. She stomped her foot and headed for the door. I got to it before her and held out my arms, blocking her way out. "Sakura, wait, I'm sorry. I didn't mean it like that. I wasn't making fun of you." I gestured to Shadow. It was him I was laughing at. Sakura pouted, then got an evil look in her eye as she started to grin at me. "Oh, fine, if you're so sorry then how about you prove it," she said. "Prove it? How am I going to prove it?" I asked, raising an eyebrow. She smirked. "This is totally unnecessary." I yelled over the top of hysterical laughter coming from the villagers, that before I had arrived had just been happily walking along in the park minding their own business when ta-da. "Look everyone, it's a teenage boy dressed in the drag. Nice dress, hardy, hardy har. You asked for it," Sakura yelled back. She'd finished laughing and was standing back enjoying the show with Shadow in her arms, eyes sparkling with amusement and smirking at me. "Sakura, please, can we just go home? Haven't I proved enough how sorry I am? This is just too far," I said. "This is a lesson to all, never mess with Sakura. She may look sweet but get on her bad side and this is what you get. Humiliated, in front of people who know you and see you every day." She sighed and put Shadow down. Barging through the crowd she yelled, "All right everyone, back off," and like magic, everyone did. Sakura could be very intimidating when she wanted to be. She looked at me and smiled sweetly. "I forgive you. About fucking time." When the crowd had finally cleared, Shadow came strolling over to us and looked up at me, amused at my humiliation. Then went up on Sakura's leg, silently asking to be lifted. Obviously the two had found some common ground in liking to see me make an ass out of myself and had become friendly. Figures. Sakura lifted him and scratched his ears before turning to me and smirking, "I'm going to need that dress back by tomorrow. Want to bring it to school?" I glared. "Hell no. So Gaara and the rest of them can add it to the great list of Naruto insults?" "No thank you. Aren't you coming back to mine anyway? You can stay for dinner, I'm cooking." "Can't. My dad has friends coming over tonight so I have to help Mum cook," she explained. "Your dad has friends?" I asked, shocked. She handed Shadow to me. Ignoring that, she mumbled and scratched the cat behind his ears, "Goodbye Shadow, I'll come visit you soon." Have to make sure Naruto's not starving you. She glanced at me. See you tomorrow, Naruto. And she started walking towards her home, leaving Shadow and me alone in the park. Nice dress, Dobie, he said. Shut up, I said, starting to walk towards home. No really, I like it, it's very slimming, you could use that, he said. Did he just call me fat? For your information, I'm all muscle teme. I yelled at him. Yeah, sounds like something a fat person would say, he chuckled. I'll drop you, I warned. Who ate all the fries? The burgers and the pies, he started to sing. Last warning, I said, you fat bastard. I dropped him. Oi Dobie, what do you think you're doing? He yelled after me. I kept walking. Hey, you forgot something, you know? Cute, fluffy, black? Cute my ass, I mumbled. He ran to catch up and started walking beside me. You know you forgot to feed me, he said. You probably ate all the food, that's why, he mumbled. I am not fat. I yelled at him. He glanced around. I followed his gaze to see that people were staring at me. I put a hand on the back of my neck and laughed nervously. Heh, didn't get much sleep last night, sorry, kind of out of it. Mothers quickly ushered their children further away from me. Sweat drop. You're making me look crazy, I mumbled to Shadow as we started walking again. Well, normal people don't yell at cats on the street, he commented. Well, normal cats don't talk back, I replied. I told you I'm not a normal cat, he said. I know that. I started yelling but lowered my voice once heads started to turn. I know that, but what kind of cat are you then? I'm not a cat. I was turned into a cat by my brother, I raised an eyebrow at him. What? It happens. Oh yeah, all the time. I remember the time Gaara's sister Tamari turned him into a mouse. Complete accident, of course. She was trying to turn him into a goat. Don't mock me, he hissed. Okay, I'm sorry, enough crazy shit's been happening, so I'll go along with you on this. Continue, I said. Anyway, I'm not always a cat. I can change into human form but not fully. Wait, I interrupted. You can change into a human? Yes, but not fully. I still have cat ears and tail to deal with, he said, annoyed. The family all lived in the mansion for hundreds of years. We were all part of the most powerful vampire clan in history. Vamp, I started. Let me finish, he glared. We were the most powerful of vampires, we ruled them all, fairly of course, never harming humans, though my brother didn't like it that way. He wanted the vampires to form an army and enslave mankind, but he couldn't do that if the other Uchihas didn't agree, so he destroyed them all, leaving only me. He knew I would get in the way, so he turned me into a cat, limiting my vampire abilities so I couldn't stop him. He's been building his vampire army ever since. Wow, but you can sort of change human, right? So can't you just order them all to stop? I asked. It's not that simple. As long as Itachi's spell is on me, I have no power over them, he said. Itachi's your brother? I asked. He nodded. Why are you telling me all this? I asked. Because, Naruto, like it or not, you have a part in this now, he said. I what? How? Why? I stuttered out. When you entered the Uchiha mansion, you were cursed, just like every other human that's ever gone in. The difference is that you got out alive. So you have some magic in you, stolen from the mansion itself. I don't know what it is, but I can smell it on you now. I heard rumors that it could be foresight, fire breathing, invisibility. All that stuff, but no one truly knows, and that makes you dangerous. So I'm telling you this, Naruto, because now you're in danger. My brother will see you as a threat and he'll either want to destroy you or use you. He looked up at me. Unless, of course, you're willing to fight against him? What, me? Fight against a vampire? No way. I'd never be able to do that. I'm too weak. True, he added. Young. True, he added. Stupid. Definitely true, he added. I mean, I just can't do it. I finished. You wouldn't be alone, you know, he said. I can help you. I can teach you, train you. Shadow, I can't. I'm 16. There's just no way. I trailed off. Naruto, look, I've been waiting all my life for someone strong enough to finally help me defeat my brother, to avenge my family and save mankind. You're it, Naruto. You're the only one that can help. He sounded soft and sincere. Do you really think I could do it? I asked, hopefully. He nodded. Just need to build those muscles of yours up a bit more and learn just what you can do with your magic. I'll help you. Oh, so now I'm not fat? I smirked. He rolled his eyes. You're not exactly the Hulk either, but we'll work on that. You know who the Hulk is? I asked. Just because the mansion's old doesn't mean we don't get cable, he stated. Need something to keep me amused. Must get lonely, I said. He said nothing. Hey Shadow. Sasuke. He said, my name is Sasuke. Sasuke, I said, liking the sound of it. Sasuke? Sasuke? Oh my god, you're the one that wrote on the wall? I pointed a finger at him. He just smirked at me. You should have seen your face when you saw my reply. You are one serious bastard of a cat, you know that? I mumbled. He laughed at that. Come on, come on. I'd been staring hard at my glass on the table for 15 minutes. Burst into flames, fill with water, anything. Hey Dobby, if you don't blink soon your eyes will dry up. You'll go blind. Sasuke so helpfully elaborated. This is my cup of care, I said, lifting the glass. Oh look, it's empty. HN, kind of like your head, he mumbled. When you're done trying to be Houdini I'll be in your room. With that we walked out the door. I glared at him as he went. He didn't know anything about my powers either. Who was he to say I couldn't explode this glass? I looked at the glass again and sighed. Picking it up I went to the fridge and filled it with water. Well, I'm probably not gonna find out my powers tonight, might as well get some sleep. I finished my drink and headed upstairs. I'd been thinking a lot about the whole fighting vampires with my unknown new powers thing. As ridiculous as Sasuke's story sounded, I knew it was true. I could feel a change in me since the mansion. Like something was growing inside me. I thought it was gas, but I guess I was wrong. I opened my door and froze. Someone was standing beside my bed. He turned to face me and I silently gasped. He was beautiful. An almost feminine body that was beautifully pale. With raven locks that framed his face and hovered over dark, onyx eyes that stared into the soul. He was amazing, he was an angel, he was a thief. I screamed, grabbing the pile of school books laying on my desk. I started throwing them at the intruder. Thief, get out of my house. Ow Naru ow, he said between getting pelted by books. Nar you to stop. He ducked and dodged as many books as he could, but that didn't stop me from getting a few good shots. I gasped, how do you know my name? I ran out of books and decided to tackle him to the bed. I had him pinned to the bed until he flipped us over and onto the floor. He pinned my hands above my head and straddled me. I struggled to get free, but this guy was stronger than he looked. Look, if you want money take my piggy bank, it's on my desk. The frog piggy bank, well I guess it would be a froggy bank, but take it. Naruto, he said in a bored tone. I don't have much but I have a laptop too. You can have that. You can have anything, just please don't hurt me. I yelled. Naruto. Calm down, it's me, he said. I looked up and blue and onyx eyes locked. Those eyes. I was close to losing myself in them when I heard, Dobby? I blinked a few times. Sasuke? I guessed. He sighed and let go of my wrists, sitting up on top of me. No shit Sherlock, he said, glaring down at me. How many people do you know with cat ears That's when I noticed the two black cat ears poking out on either side of his head and a long, slick tail swirling around behind him. Sasuke, I'm sorry, I thought you were a thief. I said. Yeah, I figured that when you were pelting me with school books, he said, finally getting off me. He stretched. Who knew stretching could look so arousing? When he stretched, his back arched in a very feline way and his green shirt, well I should say my green shirt, rode up just enough to show me some of his stomach. Not that I was attracted to him or anything. See something you like, Dobby? He asked, raising a mocking eyebrow. Tisk. As if. I was just noticing that's my shirt you're wearing, I covered. Oh yeah, sorry but it's the only thing that would fit, and isn't orange. He picked up one of the orange shirts that were lying on the floor. You, who wears this color in public? I do, I said, standing up. Orange just happens to be very stylish. I snatched the shirt off him. Well, I don't know what magazines you've been reading, Dobby, but where I come from that is not fashion. He commented. Oh well, I am sorry. I'll make sure to pick up Vamp Weekly next time I'm at the store, I said. What's in this summer? Black? Dark black? Or bright black? He smirked. Dark blues actually, he said. I rolled my eyes and went to my wardrobe, pulling out my pajamas. I heard the door creak open and Jiraiya came slowly walking in. Without time to think about it, I grabbed my gray beanie and shoved it on Sasuke's head. Naruto, I just came to see if you wanted. Oh, well hello, Jiraiya said, completely forgetting about his previous question when noticing Sasuke. Naruto, I didn't realize you were having a friend over. I looked quickly from Jiraiya to Sasuke, noticing Sasuke's tail was swooshing about freely. I said, quickly jumping behind Sasuke and held his tail still, which caused a squeak from him. Yeah, it was kind of last minute, sorry Jiraiya. I laughed nervously. You know, if all your friends looked like him you could have sleepovers anytime, he said, looking Sasuke up and down. Pervert. He likes women for fuck's sake. Sasuke blushed. Yeah, blushed? Well, I'm new in town and Naruto was kind enough to invite me here, he said innocently. I grinned. Yeah, Sue, if you don't mind old man, it's late and we have school tomorrow. Alright you two, but keep it quiet, okay? I'm working on my new novel, he said. And with that he left the room to write another one of his pornographic stories. It was a hobby of his. I'm new in town and Naruto was kind enough to invite me here. Now if you don't mind I'm going to go suck a lollipop in front of pedophiles, I mocked Sasuke in a girly voice. He glared at me. Well, what was I supposed to say? I don't know how to act in front of humans, I've only seen the way they act on TV. I chuckled at him and he pouted. Which was totally adorable. I had to admit Sasuke was cute, a complete bastard but still cute. After putting on my pajamas I slipped under the covers and sighed happily. Ahem, I heard and peeked an eye open at Sasuke. And where am I supposed to sleep? Where you always sleep, I replied. On the floor. Not in human form I'm not, he complained. Then get back to being a cat and shut up, okay? I turned on my side, facing away from him. Oh, and I suppose when Jiraiya decides to poke his head in and sees a cat in my place everything will seem normal, he said. I groaned. Fine, I caved, moving over in my bed to make room for him. There, what? With you? No way, he stated. It's either in here with me or on the floor, take your pick, I mumbled. I heard a sigh before feeling Sasuke slip under the covers beside me. He snuggled into the pillow but not before thumping me on the head with his tail. Not that it hurt, but I knew he did it to piss me off. Just as we were about to drift off to sleep a horrible crack of thunder made us jump. Oh great, a thunderstorm. Sasuke and I both groaned. Walking in sunlight? Fiction. Crosses? Fiction. We'd both given up on sleep and had been playing this game for about 10 minutes now. So far hardly any of the shit in movies about vampires are true. Super speed? I questioned. Fact, he replied. Really? I sat up on my elbows to look at him. He looked amazing in the moonlight. Yes, really, he said. Cool. I beamed. He smirked at that. Do your eyes glow red? I asked. Only when I'm angry or hungry. He said. Hungry? It never occurred to me that Sasuke might need blood to survive. If he did, would he want my blood? I didn't ask that question though, last thing I wanted to do was offend a vampire. I quickly thought of another question. Have you ever kissed a girl? I asked. His cat ears perked up as he looked up at me. What kind of vampire question is that? I grinned. It's more of a teen question really, so have you? No, he replied simply. My jaw dropped. You mean you've been alive for hundreds of years and you've never kissed anyone? I asked. I didn't say I've never kissed anyone, he said. I raised an eyebrow. But you just said. You asked if I'd kissed a girl, he said. So you're gay? I asked. All vampires are bile, is that a problem? He asked, ears perking up again. I held my hands up. No, I'm bile myself, I have nothing against that. He smiled. Good. I stared at him. What? He asked. You smiled, I said and grinned at him. That's the first time I've seen you smile. I've only been in human form for a day, Naruto. It's not like you've been waiting a long time, he said. Yeah, but it's still nice to see. I like it when you smile, I said. He blushed. The storm stopped. We better get some sleep, he said and rolled over, facing away from me. I smiled. Good night, Sasuke, I said. HN, was the reply. Dobi, I vaguely heard. Dobi? Hey Dobi, Dobi. I jumped and my eyes snapped open. I saw Sasuke smirking over me, wearing my red hoodie and black jeans and Converse. I groaned and looked at the clock. 5 a.m. Sasuke, it's 5 in the morning. I complained. Wake me when it's time for school. I cuddled back into my pillow. Oh, you're not going to school, Naruto. We've got a long day of training ahead, he said, pulling me out of bed so I smacked down on the floor. I groaned. I can't not go to school, Teme. You can give Sakura's dress back another day. Today we learn your powers and put you through my own personal training routines, he said proudly. And what kind of training, exactly, are you going to put me through? I lifted my head to look at him. Hard labor, he replied, pulling up his hood and dragging me out the door. Starting with breakfast. What's so hard about breakfast? I asked. Trust me, What you're going to eat, you'll be struggling to keep it down, he said, smirking at me, strengthens your gut. This is going to be a long day. I was currently doing a one-handed handstand on top of a 20-feet pole, and I'd been like that for 3 hours. My whole body was killing me and I couldn't do anything about it because if I fell I'd break more than just my arm. Sasuke was ruthless. He made my gym coach seem like Mary Poppins. Over the past 2 weeks he's made me climb a mountain. A small one, but that's not the point. Stay underwater for far longer than necessary. Run the whole length of the village until I passed out. Walk over hot rocks. Smack me with a flaming stick, and above all wouldn't let me eat ramen. It was all completely unhealthy and wasn't getting me any closer to finding out my powers. But he wouldn't let me give up. Oh no, that bastard was going to work me till he killed me. Switch arms, Naruto, he called up to me. I carefully switched from my right arm to my left. It felt good to get the weight off for a while, but it all came rushing back into the other hand. Sasuke, can't we take a break? You're killing me, I called. Have you stopped breathing? He asked. No, I said. Then you're fine, he replied. Bastard, but Sasuke, if I don't get that assignment done by Friday I'll get detention. I called. What's a detention? He asked, cocking his head to the side, like he always does when he's curious. Damn, cute, fucking, bastard. Detention, I corrected, where you spend extra time in school. Well, if you do get that you'll have to work extra hard to make up for training, he said. I groaned. What's the point of this anyway? I'm nowhere closer to figuring out my powers. Strength first, then powers, he said. But why not just use my powers? If they're so dangerous, why can't I just focus on that and defeat Itachi? I asked. The stronger you are, the stronger your powers are, he explained like it was obvious. You can't say you haven't noticed a change in yourself. You have more muscles, your hair's shinier, you're more alert, you're more confident in yourself. You're getting stronger every day, Naruto. It won't be long until you're stronger than me. What's my shiny hair got to do with it? I asked. Sasuke blushed. It shows more, brain cells? He said unconvincingly. How does shiny hair prove I have more brain cells? I asked. Because you're finally learning how to shower properly, Dobby. Congratulations, you now no longer smell like an old mont's armpit, he smirked at me. I growled and he laughed. Just a few more hours to go, Naruto, then remember your friends are coming over tonight, he reminded me. Oh shit, I forgot all about that. Sasuke hadn't met any of my friends other than Sakura. I wondered if he would meet them all in human form. Concentrate, Naruto, feel what you're doing, he called. Oh, trust me, I can feel everything, I said, wincing at the pain shooting up my arm. When the door knocked, I got off the couch where I was sitting with Sasuke, raced to open it. Hey guys, I said cheerfully and grinned at all my friends. I watched as they all piled in. Gaara, Sakura, Hinata, Neji, Shikamaru, Ino and Lee. Kiba couldn't make it, though he never gave us an excuse why. They all brought popcorn and other snacks because they knew we always ran out too soon. Wow, Naruto, you been working out or something? You look, well, decent. That was as close to a compliment I would ever get from Gaara. I rubbed the back of my neck and laughed nervously. Hehe, yeah, well, sort of, I said. They all flopped down on their usual spots. Ino in the love seat with Shikamaru, who instantly reclined his chair, Hinata on the floor, Lee in the beanbag chair, and Sakura and Neji on the couch. But when Gaara took his place by the couch, there was a horrible screeching sound. Ouch, what the fuck? Gaara yelled, standing back up. He turned to see Sasuke in cat form, back arched and hissing at him. Hey Naruto, your fucking house pet scratched me, he complained. Oh, sorry about him, Gaara, he's a stray, I lied. Gaara practically threw Sasuke off the couch. Hey, careful, I said, a little too defensively. Sasuke hissed at Gaara again. Stupid cat, he mumbled and took his seat. How dare he treat Sasuke like that? True, Sasuke scratched him, but Gaara shouldn't have sat on him and threw him off the chair like that. Okay, calm down, Naruto, calm. I grinned at my friends. So what are we watching tonight? I asked. Twilight, Hinata answered. It's about a girl who falls in love with a vampire. Everyone's talking about it. Sasuke's ears perked up at that. Maybe this would give me more ideas for questions to ask him about vampires. Sasuke climbed onto Sakura's lap to watch the film. She smiled at him. Hello, Shadow, she said, stroking his ears as he purred. I frowned. He never purrs for me. I stuck in the DVD and took my seat on the floor, in front of the couch. I grabbed the remote and pressed play. Halfway through the movie. What a pussy. Do her already, Sasuke said. Everyone looked in his direction. I coughed as loudly as I could. Sorry guys, I said. Just can't stand a guy who doesn't screw a woman in need. They all seemed to buy it. God, Sasuke needed to learn to keep his mouth shut. Says you Naruto, Gaara said. You're probably the ultimate virgin. I frowned. I am not a virgin, I said. Yeah, remember Sai? Ino said. Naruto did him once and now he won't stop talking about him. She giggled. I shuddered at that. Sai was a one-time thing, I said. Lee looked up and said, he also had 3 other boyfriends at the time. Sakura laughed, what a slut. We all laughed along with her. It was true. I lost my virginity to a slut, but come on. I'm 16. I had to lose it or risk being made fun of the rest of my high school years. We turned back to the movie in time to see Edward Cullen sparkle in the sunlight. Sparkle? Sparkle? Vampires don't sparkle. We don't sparkle. We are not fucking disco balls. We are not made out of diamonds. We do not sparkly. Sasuke complained as he sat on my bed, in human form. All my friends had left about an hour ago and all Sasuke could do was complain about the movie. These people are totally running out of ideas, I mean seriously. I love you, but I can't be with you, I want you, but I might kill you. I chuckled at him. He was completely overreacting on the whole Twilight thing. Don't you laugh at me, he said, glaring the word death on my forehead. Sasuke, you're missing the point. It's not about the violence, it's about love and sacrifices, I explained. No, what it's about is a prissy vampire who's overly obsessed with a girl because he wants her, oh so delicious blood. No one's blood is that different from everybody else's, he said. I sighed. There was no use in arguing with him. Personally I liked the movie. If that sounds girly I don't know, but when I met Sasuke I knew there was more to being a vampire than just blood and teeth. I thought he'd appreciate what the movie was about. Obviously not. So, what does blood taste like anyway? I asked. He looked at me and hesitated. Why would you ask me that? He said. I'm just curious. I always wanted to know what it was a vampire loved about it so much, and now I have one on my bed, I said. He blushed and coughed before saying. We never remember the tastes, we just remember the thrill and the feeling of it filling your insides. It's like being deprived of oxygen for too long and the sheer relief of letting it fill your lungs. We need it to survive just like oxygen. So, will you need it eventually? I dared to ask. I've already been getting it, he said. I looked at him, shocked. From who? I asked. He rolled his eyes. Don't worry, I haven't been feeding on your people. I've been feeding off the mice in your basement, he explained. You. I screwed up my nose. Sorry I asked, I said. He smirked at me. Yeah well, I've also been using your toothbrush, he said. You my Sasuke. I growled. He just laughed at my expression. Tomorrow, I'm buying him his own toothbrush. I slipped under the covers next to him. I figured once he got a taste of my bed he wouldn't want to sleep on the floor anymore, and I was right. He slipped in after me and turned off the lamplight. Hey, Sasuke? I asked, nervous about my question. He said to show he was listening. Do vampires fall in love? Like in the movie? I asked. Like in the movie? No. Like in real life? Yes, he said. Have you ever been in love? I asked. No reply. Maybe I stepped too far over the line. Hehe, never mind, you don't have to tell. Yes, he said, I was in love once, with my brother. Your brother? I froze, staring at him. He turned to face me and smiled sadly. Yes, but he changed, he said. So what, he wasn't always a psycho-killing vampire? I asked. No, he wasn't. Well maybe, but he never showed it until the day we wiped out our family. The only reason he kept me around was. He trailed off. Never mind. I'd forgotten about Sasuke's family. It must have been hard to have your own brother kill everyone you cared about. My parents are dead too. I said. My mother died giving birth to me and my father died in the war. I'm sorry Naruto, he said. Hey, it's not your fault, why apologize? I'm fine on my own. I mean look at me, I said, smiling. I'm alive, overly healthy and fit, thanks to you. I have great friends and some kick-ass powers to learn. I chuckled. I felt a soft hand on my shoulder and locked eyes with Sasuke's. He smiled a small, yet sweet smile and whispered, "Thank you, Naruto." I smiled back at him and put my hand over his. We fell asleep like that, just enjoying having the other to be beside. I never realized how lonely I was until Sasuke came into my life. I made a silent vow to never leave his side. If he needed me, I would be there to protect him, no matter what happens. I'll never let anyone take him from me. Can you believe another person's gone missing? That's 3 people this week near the river, Ino said. We were sitting at our usual table at lunch. Kiba and Hinata weren't sitting with us today, but none of us questioned it. They'd both been acting strange lately, and it was small news compared to the recent disappearances near Konoha River. Come to think of it, it had been happening a lot more since I went into the Uchiha mansion last month. Sasuke and I had already discussed the fact that Itachi's vampire followers could be lurking in the village, feeding to keep up their strength for when they make their move. Unfortunately, this made Sasuke's training courses on me way tougher. Whoopee. I know, it's been happening a lot more recently, Sakura replied. I heard the murderer's been dumping them in the river for years, and now that he's older he's gotten lazy and only attacks them near it, Gaara said. That's stupid, Neji said. A murderer wouldn't risk being caught like that, and what kind of murderer gets lazy? If he were lazy he wouldn't be killing at all. They haven't found any bodies, Lee put it. What makes you all think they're dead? Shikamaru yawned. How troublesome, not even a clue to go on except the tiniest drops of blood. One thing's for sure, when they finally catch the one doing it they'll be burnt at the stake, Sakura said. They still do that shit? I asked. Wow, medieval much? Oh yeah, and this one will deserve it too, Ino said. Everyone nodded in agreement. Naruto, you gonna eat that? Gaara asked, pointing to my chocolate bar. School was the only place I could eat one without Sasuke's constant nagging. You'll get fat, Dobi. You're cheating, Dobi. 1 bar equals 20 push-ups, Dobi. Blah 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 blah, Dobi. But I just wasn't in the mood for sweets right now. Nah, here, I said, handing it to him. His hand brushed against mine as he grabbed it. I froze. The images in front of me started shifting. I was no longer sitting at the table with my friends. I was surrounded by black. Flashes of fire burst out from everywhere. I saw an image of hundreds of people yelling. The image changed again to Gaara's face yelling angrily, "Kill the demon." The image changed again to Sasuke, who was crying out in pain. My heart clenched as he screamed, "Naruto." I blinked. I was back at the table with my friends. What the hell just happened? Thanks, Gaara said. What? I asked. For the bar, he said, holding it up. I just nodded at him. Had I really seen all those things? Fire, Gaara, demon, Sasuke. What did all this mean? My world started spinning. I felt dizzy. I burst through the door to my room and looked around frantically for Sasuke. He was struggling to untangle a very long, thick rope. Where he got it I had no idea. I was just that relieved to see he was alright. Oh hey Dobi, I hope you're ready, we have a whole day of training to get THR. He started but stopped when I pulled him into a hug. Naruto? What are you doing? Sasuke, I sighed. I'm so glad you're okay. I hugged him tighter, just to help me truly believe he was there, and alive. Why wouldn't I be okay? He asked. I pulled away enough to look at him. I saw the blush on his cheeks as he looked back at me. I had a feeling you were in trouble, I said. Well, I have major rope burn from that thing. He nodded at the rope, but other than that I'm fine. I sighed in relief again and pulled him into another embrace. Naruto? What's wrong? He asked softly. I never released my hold on him as I told him what happened when I touched Gaara. The blackness, the fire, Gaara's yelling, Sasuke's screaming, I told him all of it. Naruto, that's great, Sasuke said. I pulled back to look at him and raised an eyebrow. Hold on, I just saw you screaming in sheer pain. Was so scared something had happened to you that I sprinted home and you think it's all great? Well, not the screaming in pain part obviously, but don't you realize what's just happened? When I didn't answer he went on. Naruto, you just experienced your powers. Well, what kind of power is that? I asked. He shrugged. I don't know, but it proves we're on the right track. If you can use them again we might be able to control them by the time Itachi attacks. Does that mean I don't have to wait? What exactly were you going to make me do with that rope anyway? I asked. He smirked. You'll never know, Dobi, because now the physical training's over, it's time to start working on your powers, he said. Sweet, I yelled. How are we doing that? Meditation, he replied. I groaned. Meditation? Aw, come on Sasuke, that's boring. No, it's relaxing, you need to be at one with your mind, body and soul to reveal your true power, he explained. Ooh, listen to you, Guru, I mocked. Shut up, come on, we better get started. Naruto? He said. Yeah? I asked. Why, you can let go of me now. He blushed. I noticed my arms were still around him and I blushed too. I quickly let go and put a hand at the back of my neck. Oh, right. Hey, sorry, I laughed nervously. Come on, I'll show you how to quietly meditate, he said. OMMMMMM, OMMMMMM, OMMMMM. What are you doing? Sasuke asked. I peeked an eye open to see him sitting cross-legged on my bed, like me, staring at me like I had 3 heads and a mohawk. Isn't that how you meditate? I asked. He rolled his eyes at me. No, idiot, you sit quietly, and clear your mind of idiotic thoughts. Should have realized how difficult it would be for you. I frowned at him. Well, excuse me for being a fun, active person, I said and stuck my tongue out at him. He sighed. Here, I'll help you, close your eyes, he said. I did as I was told. I heard him shuffle closer to me. Alright, we'll take this nice and slow, he said in a calming voice. It was so smooth. When he spoke I could feel his breath on my face. My cheeks started to burn but I didn't move. Breath normally through your nose, in and out, focus on the sensation of your breathing. The way he said, sensation, sent a shiver down my spine. Don't follow any thoughts that enter your mind, keep focusing on your breathing. There it is again, that warm breath against my skin. I unconsciously licked my lips. They felt as they were missing something. Something soft, something warm, in, and out. Sasuke's voice sounded as if it was inside my mind. It probably was. In, and out? I blushed as images of me coming in and out of Sasuke rose to my mind. In, and out, moaning, panting, sweating. In, and out. He felt closer now. It was driving me crazy. Slowly I opened my eyes. Sasuke was so close. Our noses were almost touching as we locked eyes. I was lost in a sea of blackness and he kept saying, in, and out. Never losing eye contact, I brought my head slowly closer to Sasuke. Our lips were barely brushing as he said once again in a whispering, seductive voice, in, and out. With that our lips finally connected. It was a soft, loving kiss. It held so much emotion. Kissing Sasuke was unlike anything I'd ever experienced before. I felt his tail brush against my leg and shivered. I brought my hands around his waist and pulled him onto my lap, deepening our kiss. He wrapped his arms around my neck and moaned as I bit his bottom lip, asking for entrance. He gave it to me and I darted my tongue in, tasting everything I could before dancing around his tongue. I slipped my hands up his shirt, feeling the soft skin at his sides. He sucked on my tongue and I groaned. Sasuke was perfect. Every time I moved he moved to connect with me. He buried his hands in my hair as I found my way to his nipples. He moaned as I played with each one. We broke apart to breathe and started rubbing our erections together. Naruto, he breathed against my lips. I kissed him again and softly lay him down on the bed. After pulling apart from his lips I looked at him. His face was flushed, ears flat against his head. He was beautiful, he was mine. I leaned down and whispered in his ear, I want you. Then take me, he whispered back and our eyes connected. It was a perfect moment. I'd experienced lust before but we both knew this wasn't just lust, this was something more, something real. This was, Naruto? I heard from outside my door. It started creaking open. Sakura poked her head in. Sasuke quickly transformed back to a cat as I jumped off him. Oh, Sakura. Hey, what's up? I said hoarsely. Damn, that was so close. Naruto, we need to talk, she said seriously. Sure, I said. What about? She sat on my bed and sighed, shaking her head. I sat beside her. Sakura? I pressed. Naruto, something's happened. I need to ask you what happened that night in the mansion, she said, looking at me seriously. Alarm, alarm, danger, alarm. I already told you, nothing exciting happened. Why? I asked. We heard Sasuke meow and looked at him. He cocked his head to the side innocently, adorable as he is. Sakura lifted him and set him between us, stroking his back. Naruto, you know how Hinata and Kiba haven't been hanging out with us lately? She asked. I nodded. I never thought it would be that big of a deal. I mean, sure, they didn't hang out with us as much, but it's not like they stopped talking to us completely. I was talking to them. Kiba's cousin is in the police force and wants to prove to people that the one responsible for the disappearances isn't human. Crazy I know, but hear me out. So Kiba and Hinata have been helping him research the disappearances. It all started happening around the time the Uchiha mansion became vacant, so they researched their family a bit more. These people weren't normal Naruto. They had animal blood sacrifices, they summoned demons, raised the dead, cursed innocent people, and in the end they summoned something so powerful it wiped them all out except a chosen few who live on the life of humans. Ain't Google a bitch? I heard Sasuke mumble, then cover it up with a long meow. Luckily Sakura didn't notice. It's said that anyone who enters the mansion suffers instant death, she continued. Everything makes sense, the disappearances, the rumors, the tiny trickles of blood. Why no one's found any bodies, the dates, all of it links, except, you entered the mansion, and you're still alive. I bit the inside of my cheek. What was I supposed to say? Naruto, if you just tell us so we know what we're dealing with, she said. We? Who's we? I asked. She stiffened. I'd obviously caught her on something. She sighed. Look Naruto, all you have to do is tell me what you saw, what you've been seeing, anything that could give a clue to where we can find one of these, things. If you're so sure it has something to do with the mansion, then why don't you go in and check it out? I asked, suspiciously. We can't go in without knowing for sure they're in there, then we can attack, she said. Sasuke stiffened at that. Again with the we. Who is, we, Sakura? I'm not telling anyone anything unless I know, I stated. Naruto, I made a deal with Kiba and Hinata tonight. I'm only trying to help the people in this village, she said. So Kiba and Hinata are the we? I questioned. Some of the we, she said. Naruto, you can help keep this village safe. We need to know everything you know. What makes you think I know anything? I asked. Kiba, Hinata and I aren't the only ones who know about this Naruto. There are others. People have seen you doing strange things, climbing mountains. What are you doing up there? Doing training far more intense than necessary for an average teenage boy. She said. Who are these people? I asked. They're called the Yokai Taijiya, she said. I froze. Yokai Taijiya. That means demon slayers. I fake laughed. Okay, so you're telling me that demons from the Uchiha mansion have been killing people for years. And now you've joined some sort of demon hunting cult and you're asking me to tell you what I saw in a mansion where these supposed things live. She nodded. Yes. Do you have any idea how crazy that sounds? I asked, hoping she'd just think I knew nothing and leave. Naruto, I know you know something. Join us? Please? We can stop these things together, she said. I truly was stuck for an answer. Stopping the vampires was what I was supposed to be doing anyway. What would a little help from some experts hurt? They specialized in this stuff. What did I have to lose? These people have probably been killing demons for years. They could easily help me get rid of all the vampires, except, what about Sasuke? So say if there was one among them that was good? And wanted to help us, I started but she cut me off with her laughter. Naruto, all demons are evil, no exceptions, they must be destroyed for the good of mankind, she said. I nodded slowly. I sighed. I'm sorry Sakura, I wish I could help but there's nothing I can tell you, I can't help you. Her eyes darkened. I stared at her. She'd never looked at me like that before. Fine, she said coldly and headed for the door. Sakura, wait, I said, but she slammed the door and was gone before I could stop her. Sasuke transformed. I looked at him, expecting him to be smirking but was shocked to see the panic on his face. Sasuke? I said. Naruto, we can't let them go into the mansion, he said fearfully. Don't worry, she said it herself, she can't go in without knowing for sure they're there. And even if they do find out, they'll attack with an army, they're professionals, they'll be fine, I reassured. A look of disgust clouded his features. I don't care about them. What about the other vampires in there, Naruto? He said, they'll be killed. I thought that's what we were training for. I asked. What? No, we were training to defeat Itachi. Not kill my people, he yelled. Okay, calm down, I said soothingly. I thought all the vampires were planning to kill the humans? Itachi's the eldest Uchiha. They don't know any better other than to follow his orders, they aren't evil. Most of them are forced to join the army. They're just being led astray by Itachi. That's why we need to defeat him so my people can be free from his charge. He explained. I'd been looking at it all wrong. Sasuke's new explanation made things more clear to me. It wasn't the vampires that were evil, it was Itachi. Itachi had more power over them than Sasuke because he was the oldest. They had no choice but to obey his orders, they were trapped under his reign. They had to fight anyway, so drinking from humans was the only way they could all have a better chance of surviving. And now the yokai Taijiya were after them. No matter what way you looked at it, innocent people were going to be killed. Sasuke started to sob. I looked at him and tears started to fill his eyes. I don't know what to do, he sobbed. I pulled him into a hug, he sobbed into my chest. I'm not strong enough to save them, he whispered between whimpers. Shish, I stroked his hair, everything's going to be okay. We'll think of something, we just need to find a way to keep the yokai Taijiya off our backs until we can beat Itachi. Then everything will calm down, you'll see. He continued to cry on me. I picked him up bridal style and lay us both down on the bed. All the while whispering calming words to him. Somehow this isn't how I pictured tonight going. Sakura, Hinata and Kiba hadn't come near me all week. It's not surprising, they knew I was hiding something, but I was their friend. How were they supposed to handle this? How was I supposed to handle this? Naruto? I heard and turned to see all three of them standing behind me. Oh hey guys, I replied casually. Naruto, Kiba said, we need to talk. That's exactly what Sakura said the other night. I already told Sakura, I don't know anything about, I stared. It's not about that, he interrupted. It's about the festival, Hinata said. I was surprised at that. We always went to the Cherry Blossom Festival, A.N. It's a thing, I checked, every year, but I didn't think they'd want to go with me now, after what happened last night. You're still coming with us, right? Asked Kiba. Yeah, of course I am, I said. They all grinned at me. Great, Sakura said cheerfully. See you then. Okay, that was strange. Though the festival thing gave me an idea. A festival? You want me to go to a festival? Sasuke asked skeptically. Yeah, it'll be fun. You can finally meet my friends. It'll be a break from all the training, I said. He didn't look convinced. Come on Sasuke, I said, coming up behind him and wrapping my arms around his waist. It'll be fun. Naruto, look at me. I'm not exactly going to blend in out there, he said. You can wear a hat? I said. And my tail? He questioned. We can hide that too, come on please. For me? I asked and kissed his neck. He sighed. Fine. I grinned. Great. Come on, we need to pick you something to wear. I'll pick what I wear, thank you. No way am I going out in one of your orange jumpsuits, he said. Hey, I haven't wore that thing in years and it was very fashionable in its day, I complained. I've been around for hundreds of years, Dobie, trust me. There was no day crazy enough that people decided jumpsuits were cool, he replied. Teme, I muttered. Wow, look at that. Wow, what is that? It's huge, Sasuke said in awe. I smiled at him. He really was enjoying the festival. We were looking for my friends when he noticed the parade. I guess he's never saw parade floats before, being stuck in a mansion for hundreds of years. He reached up and grabbed some of the flowers the people were throwing over the crowd. He smiled at them and handed them to me. Look Naruto, free flowers, he said, happily. I was about to remind him all flowers were free, but he was just so cute like this, I wouldn't dream of spoiling it. He was dressed in my gray beanie hat and a blue hoodie with a white shirt underneath and skinny jeans with black Converse. We'd used 2 belts to strap his tail to his back so it wouldn't move. He looked like a regular human, only cuter. Yo Naruto, I heard. I looked to see Kiba, Sakura, Hinata, Ino, Gaara and Lee sitting at a table outside a cafe. I grinned at them and waved. Sasuke, come on, I said as I walked over to them. He followed but never took his eyes off the parade. Hey guys, what's up? I asked and took a seat. Sasuke took the one next to me. Nothing, just ordering the usual, Gaara said, as he eyed up Sasuke. Who's this? This? Oh, this is Sasuke, Jiraiya's nephew, I lied. Sasuke didn't pay any attention to them. He just kept watching the parade as best he could over people's heads. Ah, he's so cute, Sakura smiled. I smiled. Cat form and human form. Sakura still liked Sasuke. I wonder how she'd feel if she knew who he really was. So, Sasuke, Kiba said. Sasuke turned his attention to him. How long are you staying in Konoha? Well, wow. Did you see that? He pointed to a float that had just exploded confetti. I swear I saw sparkles in his eyes. PSH, you act like you've never been to a festival before, Gaara said. I haven't, Sasuke replied. Seriously? Lee asked. You've never been to a festival? Nah, Sasuke shook his head. Then you must stay for the fireworks, Lee said and smiled at Sasuke. Sasuke's eyes lit up. There's going to fireworks? Naruto, there's going to be fireworks, he laughed happily with Lee. I smiled at the two of them, they get along fine. I know Sasuke, I knew you'd like that part, I said. Wow, what's that? Sasuke said and ran off into the crowd. Wait, Sasuke, I called after him. Don't worry, I'll go find him, Lee said and ran off in the same direction. Your friend seems a little too excited over a simple parade, Gaara said. I scoffed. Just because you have the emotions of a teapot. I could feel Sakura's eyes on me but I ignored it, I just prayed she wouldn't catch on. The fireworks were brilliant this year. I stared at Sasuke as he watched them. The fascination in his eyes never faded, and neither did his smile. He turned to look back at me. You were right, Naruto, this is fun, he said. I pulled him close to me and kissed him deeply. Sasuke, lo. Naruto. Sasuke. Come on, you're going to miss the party, Ino called. Sasuke looked from her to me and smirked. Come on Dobi, you have to show me how people in your century dance, that is, if you can. He took my hand and pulled me towards the music. Maybe I need some rehab. Or maybe just need some sleep. I've got a sick obsession. I'm seeing it in my dreams. Sasuke continued to pull me until we were in front of the stage where the DJ was playing. I'm looking down every alley. I'm making those desperate calls. I am staying up all night hoping. Hit my head against the walls. He wrapped his hands around my neck and started dancing. I put my hands on his hips and pulled him closer, swaying his hips with mine. What you've got, boy, is hard to find. Think about it all the time. I'm all strung up, my heart is fried. I just can't get you off my mind. Because your love, is my drug. Your love. I said your love, is my drug. Your love. It was amazing how our bodies moved together. Sasuke and I, we just fit. There was no other way to describe it. Won't listen to any advice, Mama's telling me to think twice. But left to my own devices, I'm addicted, it's a crisis. How can you know how to dance to this? I asked. My friends think I've gone crazy, my judgment is getting kinda hazy. My status is gonna be affected if I keep it up like a lovesick crackhead. I told you we have TV in the mansion, I've seen MTV, he said and chuckled at my expression. He turned so his back was facing me and we continued dancing. What you've got, boy, is hard to find. Think about it all the time. I'm all strung up, my heart is fried. I just can't get you off my mind. Because your love, is my drug. Your love. I said your love, is my drug. Your love. Sasuke, I said into his ear. Oh. Without warning he was pulled away from me. I looked to see people carrying him up on stage with the DJ. I don't care what people say. The rush is worth the price I pay. I get so high when you're with me. But crash and crave you when you are away. The DJ smiled at him and came away from the stereo to dance with him. Sasuke put his hands up to show he wasn't interested and made his way to get off the stage. The DJ grabbed his arm before he could get down and spun him around. Because your love, is my drug. Your love. I said your love, is my drug. Your love. Sasuke pushed him away with such force it caused him to fall backwards. Unconsciously he reached out to grab Sasuke to stop his fall. He accidentally grabbed his hat and took it with him as he fell. Sasuke froze. I froze. The music froze. Everyone froze. Oh no. Time stopped when Sasuke and I locked eyes, both fearful of what was to come. Though it all came rushing back when we heard someone scream. Then all hell broke loose. Demon, monster, devil, get him, kill him. Hinata and Kiba were on the stage faster than I could react. Sasuke tore his gaze from me to hiss at them. They slowly advanced towards him, Kiba pulling what looked like a sword handle out of his boot out and Hinata uncoiling what I thought had been a belt, but was truly a strange gray whip. Suddenly a blade shot out of Kiba's handle to make a full sword. Sasuke crouched down and glared at them, daring them to make the first move. With a yell Hinata cracked the whip at him. He barely dodged, but by the speed of the whip it was obvious no human could harness that speed. Before she could recoil he grabbed the end of the whip and yanked her forward. When she was close enough he kicked her to the side, knocking her off the stage completely. The crowd screamed and ran in a panicked rush, trying to get as far from the fight as possible. Kiba made his own advance towards Sasuke. As Sasuke backed away from him, a long rope fell from behind him. Sakura came sliding down it and sliced at him with a katana. Sasuke must have heard her coming, for he dashed forward, but not before she could slice his arm. He hissed in pain and turned towards her. Kiba ran at him, sword in hand. That's when I reacted. I jumped up on stage and tackled him from behind. He dropped his sword on impact. He rolled us both over and made to strike a blow at my face, only stopping once he recognized me. "Naruto, what are you doing?" he asked, angrily. "Kiba, listen to me. Sasuke isn't the one we should be worrying about," I told him. "Someone else is planning to attack the village, if you just let us explain." "You mean you're working with this demon?" he asked. We both spared a glance at Sasuke and Sakura. Sasuke had grabbed Kiba's sword. Now they were both circling each other. "Kiba, you have to trust me on this," I pleaded. He hesitated, looking between Sasuke and me. We heard an unnatural clang of metal and looked to see both Sasuke and Sakura locked in combat. Sasuke nicked her arm near the top. She returned with a kick to his chest. He stumbled back and lashed out with his sword, making a thin cut from breast to waist. "Sasuke, stop," I yelled at him. He glanced at me. Sakura took advantage and wrapped the tip of her katana around the hilt of his sword, and with a flick of her wrist the sword was out of his grasp, leaving him defenseless. She lifted the tip of the katana to below his chin. He glared at her. "Listen to me," I yelled. "All of you." Everyone looked at me. Kiba got off me and we both rose to our feet. "Sasuke isn't the evil one," I explained. "His brother's the one responsible for all this." "What are you talking about?" Sakura asked, still keeping a close eye on Sasuke. "Itachi is the leader of the vampires. He's the one you should be after, not Sasuke," I explained. Kiba raised an eyebrow at me. "I don't get it," he said. "What's not to get, dog breath?" Sasuke said, "I'm not evil. All demons are evil." Sakura insisted. "And who told you that?" "The leader of your demon hunting cult. He came back." "Demons never change. They always were evil and always will be evil. They're a disgrace," Kiba said. "You're all racists," Sasuke accused. I turned to Kiba. "Did you ever think your leader could just be telling you these things to get you to join him?" I asked. "Then what about the disappearances?" Kiba questioned. "Their leader is making them do it, just like yours is making you kill them," I said. Kiba pursed his lips. He seemed to be thinking it over. "Come on, Kiba. This is me you're talking to. I wouldn't lie to you. Do you trust me?" I encouraged. This seemed to get to him. He looked up at me and nodded. "One down." I turned to Sakura. "And Sakura, you don't just know me, you know Sasuke too," I told her. She looked confused at this. "What do you mean?" she asked. "He means this," we heard Sasuke say. We all looked to see him in cat form, looking up at all of us. "Shadow?" Sakura stuttered, obviously shocked. "Surprise," he said. Sakura dropped her katana. She always loved Shadow. I knew this would get to her. "There they are," we heard someone call. We looked to see Hinata, followed by 4 other people, other demon hunters I guessed. "Where's the demon?" one of them asked. I held my breath. There was no way we could fight off 7 of them. Half vampire or not, Sasuke's powers were limited. Not to mention I hadn't fully discovered my powers yet. Though the visions were starting to become clearer to me. I walked to Sasuke, so I was standing over him. If this turned out for the worse, we'd go down fighting. He escaped, Sakura told them. Both Sasuke and I snapped our heads in her direction. "What? Yeah, he went that way," Kiba said, pointing to the open land behind us. "Well, what are you waiting for? After him." They all nodded at his command and ran in formation, swords in hand, in the direction Kiba had just pointed. "Guys, that was I struggled. "What the Dobi is trying to say, is thanks," Sasuke helped. "Don't mention it, seriously, don't mention it to anyone. If they find out we did that, we'll be sent away for a very long time," Sakura said. "Though you're going to need to explain everything," Kiba said. "Starting with how you two met." Sasuke and I glanced at each other. We decided it was safer to talk at my house. We were sitting in my room, Sakura scratching behind Sasuke's ears every so often and staring at him in fascination. She'd never been so close to someone like Sasuke before. She was so used to him being a small, fluffy cat, so I guess it was normal for her to stare. They'd even dressed each other's wounds and were joking about their combat faults. After I'd explained about my night in the mansion, with Sasuke interrupting to point out how pathetic I was. "Thanks, Sasuke. I went on to explain about Itachi, and how he'd whipped out the Uchiha family and took over rule of the vampires and forced them to join his army to destroy mankind. I also explained about the curse on the mansion and how I had developed unknown powers and could see visions every so often, and how Sasuke and I had been training hard over the months to defeat Itachi and restore order to the vampires. Kiba whistled. That's a lot to take in, he said. I chuckled. Yeah, tell me about it. Why didn't you tell me this when I came here before? Sakura asked. I didn't know how you'd react to Sasuke, I said. So, Sasuke injected. Are you going to help us now that you know? Kiba and Sakura shared a glance. I don't see how we could do otherwise, Kiba said. We'll stay in the yokai Taijiya and keep you both updated on any movements. We'll keep them off your backs as best we can, Sakura said. I grinned at them both. They were truly my best friends. Only, one condition, Kiba said. Sasuke and I cocked our heads to the side. I caught the habit over the time I'd spent with him. You keep us updated too, we want to help you take this Itachi guy down, Kiba said, grinning. Deal, I said and clapped hands with him. Looks like Sasuke and I won't be going it alone after all. We better get going, Kiba, Sakura said. The others will be getting suspicious if we don't join them. Kiba nodded at her, and they both headed towards the door. I'll see you in the morning, Naruto, Sakura said, turning back to look at me. And I'll still be checking you're feeding Sasuke properly. She winked at us. If ramen is considered proper food, Sasuke commented. Hey, ramen is a nutritious, delicate dish. I complained. In what world, Dobi? He said. In any world, Teme. I said. Dobi, Teme, Dobi, Teme. Sakura and Kiba rolled their eyes, smiling, and left us bickering. Itachi Pav. I looked out over my balcony down to the training fields. My soldiers were fighting like dogs, showing no mercy towards each other, survival being the only goal. It was beautiful. War was truly striking. My plans were going perfectly. Soon I would release my warriors on the human world. Just the thought of a world full of vampires, with me ruling over them all, well, it was enough to put a smile on my stone features. An explosion was heard from behind my vampire army. Fire caught on the trees, but they kept fighting, kept training. Sasuke would hate this. I chuckled at the thought of my little brother's face. The hurt, the helplessness, the hatred. I licked my lips. My brother hated me, and I loved it. It excited me, aroused me. I smirked. Bring Sasuke to me, I ordered. I want him to see this. There was no reply. I turned to see Deidara, Tobi and Kisame looking around nervously. I gave you an order, I said. I told you we should have told him, Tobi mumbled. Better now than never, yeah? Deidara mumbled back. Okay, you tell him, Tobi replied. Me? Why me? He complained. Kisame, I said, sternly. What are these two bumbling about? Oh well, you see, about Sasuke? Kisame trailed off. Well, he's kind of unavailable right now, yeah, Deidara put in. I glared at them. What do you mean unavailable? I questioned. He's not exactly here, Tobi said. Not here, I repeated slowly. I slowly walked closer to them and darkened my voice. And where, exactly, is he? The blonde kid took him, Deidara blurted. The blonde kid? I asked. Yeah, the one that entered the house, a few months ago, he said. Sasori's been tracking him since he left. Apparently he lives in Konoha village, Kisame said. My bet is Sasuke will be there too. I chuckled darkly. Find one and the other will be there, like hitting two birds with one stone. But Itachi, the boy's probably been training, we have no idea how powerful he could be, he said. Then we'll make him work in our favor, I said. What makes you think he'll agree to work for us? Sasuke's probably already got him against us, Tobi asked. I smirked. Then I'll use one against the other. I stalked back over to the balcony and looked across the fiery sky. Sasuke is mine. This blonde kid's power is mine. And I would get them back, one way or another, all the while keeping this war going. They won't know what hit them. I'm coming for you, little brother. Back to Naruto Pav. Sasuke jolted up in bed, waking me with a loud gasp. Wow, what's going on? I yelled, grabbing my baseball bat and jumping out of bed, intent to kill. Naruto, it's okay. I'll protect you, Sasuke. I yelled and whacked the bat around me, knocking almost everything off my desk. I turned to the noise of them falling and swung. Ah! Sasuke turned the lamp light on in time for me to realize I was about to swing at it. I blinked. I looked around to see no one else in the room but Sasuke and me. No one's in here, Dobi, Sasuke said. What? But then why were you gasping and jumping like that? I asked. He looked to his feet. It was just a nightmare, he said. What about? I asked. He shook his head. Doesn't matter, and will you put that bat down, Jackie Robinson? And apparently that's a famous baseball player. I wouldn't know, so just go with it, haha. I dropped the bat and climbed back into bed, Sasuke following. Once we were settled, I turned to him. So what had you so shaken up? I asked. I told you it doesn't matter, he replied. Aw, come on, Sasuke, you know you can tell me anything, I said. I know. It's just, I had this horrible feeling, he said. Last time we order from that takeout then, I said. He rolled his eyes and turned the lamp off. Food's always the answer with you, isn't it? He said. I laughed at that and pulled him closer to me. He sighed softly and nuzzled his head into my neck. I looked down at him and smiled. He looked back up at me and raised an eyebrow. You're beautiful, Sasuke, I said. He smiled and blushed at the comment. Sasuke, if I tell you something, do you promise not to freak out? I asked. I make no promises, Dobi, he replied. Seriously, I said. Fine, I promise I won't. What is it? Freak out, he said. I chuckled lightly at his lack of knowledge on modern sayings before I looked into his eyes and my serious expression took over. Well, over the time we spent together, I think I might, well, I know more than think. Well, I stumbled over my words. This was a lot harder to say than I thought it would be. Then when I took in Sasuke again, his eyes, my confidence came rushing back and I finally said it. I love you, Sasuke. His eyes widened. My heart pounded in my chest. Maybe I'd moved too fast. What if he ran away? Or worse, what if he didn't feel the same? I felt something rough and wet against my cheek. It took a while to register that Sasuke just licked it. I love you too, he whispered. Really? I whispered back, shocked. He nodded and brought his lips up to connect with mine. It wasn't a heated kiss. But it didn't need to be. It was filled with emotions. It was intimate without effort. Maybe this is my chance. Maybe Sasuke and I can finally foo. I heard soft breathing coming from Sasuke. I looked down and saw him sleeping on my chest. Tail wrapped around my leg. I sighed and wrapped my arms around him. Since Sasuke could no longer go out in public in human form, Kiba and Sakura had taken over my physical training during the day. Not that I'm complaining. Their version of training was a lot less painful than Sasuke's. Though don't be fooled, Sasuke was still there in cat form, making sure I was doing everything right. Today though he decided to stay at home and set something up for my mental training, which in my language meant he was going to help me learn my fucking powers before I crack. So Kiba, Sakura and I decided to take advantage of this and go to the mall. And I'm Irish, I didn't know if I should call it a mall or not, but I love Americans, so Naruto can be American equals P. We were sitting in a booth at a cafe drinking milkshakes. I'd missed these moments, just hanging out with my friends. So Naruto, how's the whole powers thing coming? Sakura asked. Not so good, I sighed. I have visions sometimes, but that's as far as it goes. Well, that sucks, she replied. So does his sword fighting, concentration, battle tactics, strategy, temper and his balance, Kiba added. Thanks man. Anything else you want to add to the list? I said. He chuckled. I'm just kidding, your balance is fine. I rolled my eyes and they both laughed. Just wait till I learn my powers, I'll put your ass to shame, I said, grinning at them. What are you guys talking about? We heard. We all jumped, me more noticeably, and saw Gaara standing over us. Nothing, I said. Just, sports, Kiba said. I shot him a look and he shrugged. Sports? Really? We never talk sports. We don't even like sports. Sports? Gaara raised an eyebrow at him. Yeah, didn't you hear? Kiba's trying out for the football team, Sakura said and smiled at Gaara. Kiba stared at her with mouth hanging wide open. What? She kicked him under the table, never breaking her smile at Gaara. Oh, yes. Go KHS, he put a fist in the air in fake enthusiasm. Right, Gaara said. Anyway, since Naruto's obviously lost interest in inviting us over anymore, everyone's coming to my house tonight, you guys want to come? That is, if you have the time, Naruto. Why that jabbing two-faced son of a? Sure, I said, faking a smile. I got time. But Naruto, what about that thing, that you were supposed to do tonight? Sakura tried to explain. Aw shit. I forgot about Sasuke. He said he was setting something up at home to help learn my powers. God knows how long that would take. Gaara gave me one of his smug looks again and I cracked. "Don't be silly, Sakura, I always have time for my friends," I said, in the sweetest voice I could muster. He walked away, with that smug look. "See you at 8 inches," he said. "God, I hate that guy." I growled. "Isn't he your best friend?" Kiba asked. "What's your point?" I asked. He sighed. "You know, Sasuke won't be happy if you bail on the training he's got in store for you," Sakura said. "I'll cross that bridge when I come to it," I said and sipped at my milkshake. I opened the door to my house and was met by a swinging pan. I dodged before it could hit my face. "Wow, what the fuck, Sasuke?" I yelled. The pan was held up by a rope. Sasuke was nowhere to be seen. "I booby-trapped the house, Dobi. You have to get to your room without hurting yourself," he called back from upstairs. "Are you trying to kill me?" "I already had physical training," I lied. "This will test your mind," he called back. I sighed. This was typical Sasuke, couldn't even make mental training relaxing. I stepped into the death trap of a house and immediately had to dodge kunais. We couldn't just stick to the meditation thing? I liked that, especially how Sasuke ended up beneath me, moaning. "Ow." I slipped on something wet Sasuke'd put on the floor. My foot kicked a wire which snapped, causing a large net above me to fall, which was covered in, no way was I gonna get hit with poison ivy. I stuck my hand out to protect myself and the net stopped falling. "What?" I threw my hand to the side and the net followed the direction, landing at the end of the hall. I sat up and looked at my hands in shock. They were glowing, but the glow dimmed the longer I looked at them. "Did I do that? Well done, Dobi, you just unlocked a stage of your powers," I heard Sasuke yell. "How are you even seeing this? Where are you?" I yelled. "You have to find me, Dobi," he teased. "Oh, I'll find you all right," I mumbled as I picked myself off the floor. "Stupid Teme trying to kill me, I'll show him." I don't know how I managed it, but being able to move things with my hand came almost too easily. I can't explain it, it's like I just wanted it to happen and it did. Other than a burning sensation and a slight glow of my hand, it felt so natural. I made it to my room easily now. And once I got there I was ready to give Sasuke a piece of my mind. "Sasuke, you." I wasn't able to finish my sentence when Sasuke practically half-tackled me and kissed me. "You did it, Naruto." He smiled at me, back to being cute again. How can I be mad at that? He hugged me and laughed in delight. "You finally cracked through to your powers, the rest will be even easier now." "Easier? How is that easy? You had kunais shoot at me. And a net of poison ivy." I complained. He looked at me and pouted. "I'm sorry, Naruto," he said sweetly. "I'm not buying it," I said, turning my back on him and folding my arms. I felt him come closer. I felt the heat of his body against my back. He rested his head on my shoulder and breathed on my ear, sending shivers down my spine. "I'm sorry," he said softly, "maybe I can make it up to you." I felt his hands slide inside my shirt. It felt good to have his soft hands against my skin. "Can't give in, must stay mad at Teme?" He licked the shell of my ear with his rough, cat-like tongue and I lost it. I turned and pulled him into a deep, passionate kiss. He granted me entrance immediately and our tongues danced together. His hands were gripping tightly to my hair as my hands snaked up his body. He moaned into the kiss and led us to the bed. He shoved me down onto it. I backed up to where the pillows lay. He smirked at me and got on his hands and knees and crawled toward me, like a predator. God, did that turn me on. He crawled up on me and shoved my shoulders down playfully. He leaned his head down and growled seductively. I put both my hands on his ass and squeezed both his cheeks. He moaned lightly. As hot as it was to have him on top of me, this isn't the way I'd fantasized. I had to turn the tables here. I raised my hand and used my newfound power to flip Sasuke off me. We wrestled for a while before I came out on top. "Now's who's the predator?" I teased huskily. He ran his tongue against the top of his teeth. "And what are you going to do with your prey, Naruto?" I leaned into his ear and whispered, "I'm gonna make my prey scream." "Is that a promise?" Sasuke asked, leaning up and into me. I thought he'd almost appreciate if I purred. But I decided against that because it would be not only embarrassing but stupid. I pushed him back down with a dominating and feral kiss. A kiss that he seemed to enjoy very much by the way he was submitting to me. He was relinquishing his control, throwing all cares into the wind, and letting me do as I pleased. "Can you say heaven?" His tongue pushed against mine, knocking it through my teeth and back into the cavern. Oh, he wanted it rough? Well, two can play this game. I stroked down his chest, coming to rest of the pink nipple under a thin black shirt I had loaned him. It clung to his skin tightly, slightly damp from the sweat of his body. My nerves frayed. I pinched his nipple through the thin fabric. He hissed into our kiss before pulling back from my lips to arch into my touch. Yes, very cat-like indeed. "Ah, aren't you such a pretty kitty, Sasuke?" He laid underneath me, completely unamused, I might add. His tail flicked impotently next to my head and I gave him a sheepish grin before he gestured that we could continue. He patted my head with his tail as I lifted the thin shirt off his body. I could tell it was a gesture was out of anticipation. He wanted to be tamed, touched, dirtied, and well, from what I picked up, petted. And not in the nice wholesome way. "Hey, where do you want me to touch you, Sasuke?" He paused in his movements. His eyes were scanning my body language, making sure there was no malice or strange hidden motives to my touches. You could be blind and still see that his previous experiences weren't exactly what anyone would call picture perfect, but I needed him to trust me. I stroked his face, cupping his cheek. I rubbed my thumb across his face. The soft touches made him relax into me. Wow, I never thought we'd be at the soft lovey part a few minutes ago. Man, moods switch so fast with animals. Naruto. I want you to, well. His cheeks gained a little more color with every word that was spoken between us. But hot damn if he wasn't so cute like that. Touch me, here. Sasuke bucked his chest against the hand I had away from his face and I nodded. He wanted to start slow. Well, that was good since I wanted him to feel everything pleasurable he could before we got to the painful part. I brushed my thumb against the pale expanse of his chest, sucking in a breath with I felt how peach soft his skin was. Against my better judgment, I dipped my head low, breathing the hot cinnamon scent of his skin before swirling my tongue around the semi-hard nub that seemed to be awaiting my touch. Cinnamon filled my mouth and I wondered how Sasuke made himself smell so intoxicating. Perhaps it was. Wow, wait a second, when did I use, perhaps? Oh my god, Sasuke wasn't just exercising my muscles with all of his weirdness, he made me smarter too. Whoa, just wait till Sakura gets a load of how I talk now. Naruto. Hello? Earth to Naruto, come in. Sasuke poked his tail into my ear and I shook my head at the odd feeling of fur in my ear. What are you doing? Sorry, I got distracted with my random thoughts. Sasuke rolled his eyes. Leave it to an idiot to get distracted by stupid things during an intima AH. Sasuke's eyes widened and he arched up against my mouth as I let his nipple grind ever so gently between my teeth. He let out a sharp whimper and I smirked with satisfaction. Oh, what was that, Sasuke? You want me to kiss and nibble there more? You don't have to ask me twice. Sasuke rolled his eyes as I took his other nipple between my teeth and gave it the softest bite I could manage. It wasn't even fully hard when I released it. I rolled it against my lip and he let out the most adorable moan. If I didn't have better self-control I would have lost it all right then. He was just so precious. I ran my hands down his sides, letting my newly callosed skin graze and nip at his baby smooth sides. I felt him shiver under my touches before he leaned up to capture my lips. I slipped my tongue between his lips as I caressed his sides as gently as I could. I reached the hem of his pants and slowly started to pull them down. Before I knew it, he was arching into the rough material of my jeans needing more friction. He reached down to the bottom of my shirt and quickly pulled it over my head. Sasuke haphazardly tossed it onto the lamp, creating a red tint to the lighting of the room. I chuckled a little and he raised an eyebrow, accidental mood lighting. Good work, my prit. I swear if you call me a pretty kitty again. His eyes glinted with something that caused a cold chill to run up my spine. Okay, I get it. Sheesh. Sasuke was kind of scary when he wanted to be. I sat up and rocked back so I was sitting on my knees. I was having a little trouble with the button of my pants and Sasuke quickly aided me. He was able to pop open the button, unzip my pants, and remove them and my boxers in a wink of an eye. Maybe he wasn't just a kitty boy, like maybe he was also a magical clothes removal fairy come to grant small kids wishes. Okay, that's just nervous talking. Don't be a pussy, Uzumaki. This is what you've been waiting for. Before I could make another move, Sasuke pushed me back onto the bed. His lips made a soft trail from my mouth to my chest, slowly traveling down my stomach, and finally ghosting past my dripping erection. Sasuke is evil. This must be hell or some kind of horrible revenge scheme. He wasn't touching it at all. He licked around my balls, never giving them even a tiny little flick. He nipped at the inside of my thigh and I jumped a little. I thought this was supposed to be about him, not me. I was about to force his head down on something none too soft when he flipped his body around. His stomach lay on top of mine and I was greeted with his pulsing cock in my face. I held back a laugh, that actually kind of scared me. Come on Naruto, be a big man and give me what I want. I smirked and swirled my tongue around the head of his cock. His breath hitched and he let out a sweet little whimper before taking the tip into his mouth, giving it a playful suck before shoving a little bit more down his throat. There is no way he was going to outdo me. I pushed his hips down slightly and lifted my head up, flicking my tongue at his entrance. He squeaked in surprise before muttering something against my thigh. I'm pretty sure it wasn't the most clean of language. He licked at my balls and I arched up by his mouth. The roughness of his tongue was so incredible compared with the soft, smooth caress of his lips. I shuddered as Sasuke pulled one into his mouth, sucking ever so gently on it. Damn, he was much more experienced than I ever gave him credit for. Sasuke, I need you to do me a favor. His kitty ears twitched in response. I continued to lick at his sensitive areas until I deemed that he had been teased enough for the moment. I need you to grab me the lube in my bedstand. He nodded and reached into the drawer. His hand rummaged around for what seemed like an eternity before he tossed it back to me. I gave him a soft lick against his hole as a thanks and he whimpered more. I dripped the lube on my fingers, warming it up before gently prodding the first finger into his entrance. He tensed ever so slightly, but relaxed. I curled the digit, gently. I didn't want to hurt him the first time. He started to push back against me and I knew I could add another. He tensed for an ever longer period when I added the second. He was panting softly against my leg, every so often giving my cock a soft suck, encouraging me to do more to him. I pushed them in and out slowly, letting him get used to the rhythm of my digits. Slowly he started to moan and mewl, much like a kitten, due to the pleasure. He cringed a little when the third went in. Man, I knew this was the worst part. I lapped at the surprisingly soft skin of his balls, marveling at the salty spice of his skin against my tongue. Sasuke kissed the head of my cock, breathing heatedly against it when something made his mouth disconnect from me. This was so good. Naruto, please. I need you to do it. I nodded. I couldn't keep this up much longer myself. I pushed him to his hands and knees and got behind him. I coated myself in lube, shivering a little at the cold sensation. Warms on contact my ass. I pressed the tip in and gauged how he felt before pushing more and more in until I was fully inside him. He was panting, gripping at the sheets of my bed and I was so hot for him. His entrance was squeezing me so nicely, almost like it was swallowing me up into hot, tight silk. He pushed back against me, signaling he was ready for more. I pulled out, most of the way before slamming back in. Sasuke grunted, working out the pleasure from the pain. I grabbed his erection, tugging at it so he would relax into my touches. He arched against me, his soft pale back rubbing my chest. I nipped possessively at his shoulder and he turned his head to kiss me. I licked softly at his lip before slipping my tongue into his mouth. Using that distraction I thrusted into Sasuke gently. He moaned into our kiss, he almost completely disconnected from me before reaching his head up needily. Our tongues danced in between our teeth, pushing and fighting as I thrusted deeply into him. The more I thrusted, the more his tongue seemed to press into mine. I started to fist him quickly and he moaned, arching up before breaking our kiss so he could bury his face in my pillows. So good. He pulled his head back up and I gripped the back of his head, thrusting in more and more so I could watch his face shift and scrunch with pleasure as I hit that little bundle of nerves, which I still had yet to find. It was like the Waldo of body parts. Suddenly, Sasuke sucked in a breath and looked me dead in the eye. His voice was laced with desire. There. That's, I need it, there. I bit at his cat ears, making them twitch as I thrust harder into his prostate. He was a whimpering, moaning mess underneath me. His fingers pulled at my sheets, making them pull at my mattress before coming off and away. They scrunched up underneath us, lifting Sasuke's abdomen up a little more, angling his hips in such a good way. Naruto. My name came out as a breathless whisper. something so sensual and appealing that my cock twitched inside of him. He grunted and looked back at me. His bangs were plastered to his face with sweat, his eyes were glazed and hooded with lust and what I could assume to be exhaustion. His ears were low to his head and his tail was also slumped against his body. His cheeks had a healthy flush of red and he just looked so beautiful. I nipped at his ear and he arched his head back, trying to get more contact. I just smirked, thrusting my hips faster into him. I dug my nail into the head of his cock, making him cry out, but I knew he liked it because of the liquid that dripped out and onto my finger. He moaned loudly and started to move erratically and I knew he was so close. Not that I was much better, the coil in my stomach was starting to tighten up but there was no way I wouldn't satisfy him before I came. I pulled out for a moment and flipped him onto his back before entering again. He arched up and I slammed my mouth down on his. Apparently that was all he needed. He came on our stomachs and clamped the muscles around my cock. I let out a moan and stiffened a little. So close. I was so close. I continued to thrust, looking deeply into Sasuke's hazy eyes. Our lips connected sloppily and I gave one final thrust, filling him with my cum. He shuddered at the feeling, breaking from the kiss to groan. We didn't move for a few minutes, just stared at each other panting heavily, coming down from our high. Eventually I pulled out and lay next to him. He curled up to me and rested his head on my chest. I wrapped my arms protectively around him. That was. I tried but words couldn't describe how that had felt. It was just, gah. Damn my lack of vocabulary. He sighed. No more words were said. They didn't need to be, we just lay there, enjoying being with each other. My eyes got heavier, I knew I was close to falling asleep, closing eyes, slowly, almost closed. I'm too wide for my shirt, too wide for my shirt. I groaned and reached for my mobile on the desk. Looking at the caller ID I saw it was Gara calling. I glanced at the clock and noticed it was 9 o'clock. I was an hour late. I glanced at Sasuke, who was looking up at me innocently before I answered.